very special. I have it, no doubt. And this is an amazing thing for anybody to say. I guess William Crookes was the last one to say it. But within not too long a distance of time, you will be able to communicate, and I mean it sincerely, with loved ones and friends who have died from this physical plane. Isn't that a wonderful thing to look forward to? Well, look forward to it. In order to approach this subject, I've had to get into some pretty deep material. And I strongly suggest, because when you talk about things like this, you have to have documentation. And I would suggest that if you can, and you really want to get into this, you get DVD 674 and 675. That's some serious documentation. I understand also that serious documentation like that can be very boring. And I'm sure people got the nods while I was reciting it. But it was important to do, because if I was going to talk about stuff like this, I had to make sure that I had my ducks in a row and that I had the scientific evidence to corroborate what I was saying. So those are very, very deep. I think Vicki put it best last week at the end of things. She said it was like cramming for a final exam. And basically that's how it was. I'm sure it wasn't easy to listen to, but it was important that I did it. Anyhow, I always have to be able to point people to a scientifically credible direction when I talk about stuff like this. I'm talking about communicating with those that are considered alien light beings and communicating with those that are considered to be dead. Your friends, your family. But I want to move away from the deep and complex scientific areas and ask people to remember 674, 675 and get it from there. And more or less move in a lighter perspective, but still focus on how this works. Because it is indeed complicated. Anything that has to do with life is complicated. How we ever allowed religion to tell us, oh, there's nothing to do. All you got to do is bow your head and you'll fly off to Never Never Land, and like with Toto and the Yellow Brick Road and all this crap. And it's not that way. Everything in this existence is governed by deep, complex electrical and chemical things that react on one another. It's the only way it works. But it does work, but you can't be part of its working if you don't know how it works and that it does work. A most significant reason as to why there's so much difficulty in this world is because we have almost total control exercised over people by religion. And people, for the most part, are willing to submit to literal interpretations of ancient writings by religion to explain the workings of existence. There are some people that feel that if you go and kill the enemy, you will be rewarded with 7 virgins up in the sky. You heard that. There are other people on this side of the border who say, if you say some words, you'll fly up in the sky and live on streets of gold in a mansion next door to Jesus. I mean, and it's not true. But this is the foundation of our beliefs. This is the foundation of our culture. And what is so bizarre, you know what's so bizarre about this? Is that the overwhelming number of people who submit to this stuff are very intelligent. And yet they're willing to check their brains at the door Sunday morning and submit to the wild rantings of religion as if it has some merit, so that they can get to some grand heavenly abode after they die, which incidentally is reserved only for members of their particular religious cult. Nobody else goes, they go. Okay? But what we do, we buy the millions every Sunday or whenever, Wednesday, and we put the money in and we sit there. And when they tell us to stand up, we stand up. And when they say sit down, we sit down. And then we file out, get out, you've had enough. The offering is over. Get the hell out of here. And we come back for more. And these intelligent people. Well, ask yourself something. Just think with me for a minute. And I mean, how does the grass grow? How do the leaves return to the trees? And ask yourself this. Are the leaves that are back on the trees now the same leaves that were there last year? Why does it rain? Why does it snow? Why does the earth turn like it does on its axis? Why does the sun travel through the 12 constellations of the zodiac? Why? Do you know what I'm saying? No matter what question you ask, there has to be a scientific answer for it. And do you know what? Religion will not argue with you. Not argue with you at all. Oh, this is why it rains. This is why it snows. This is why the earth turns. Oh, this is why the grass goes. They have no problem with any of that, except when it comes down to living human beings. At that point, all science is dropped. And instead, we have stories of gods and angels and devils and demons. And they make up all of this lunacy. And forget that living human beings are electrochemical entities who operate under the same rules as the rest of nature. One of the big things going around now is the scientists and NASA and coming out on the TV and everything that in 2010 and 2012 they're expecting these tremendous explosions on the sun, probably the worst they've had since they've been keeping records. And they expect that they could have very damaging effects on the electrical grid systems on planet Earth. But you know, they forget something. Put your hands up here. You know what that is on top of your shoulders? It's an electrical grid system. It's an electrical computer. They don't mention that. And so, religious people are okay with the grass and the mountains and nature and all of that stuff, how that works, but they seem to think that your electromagnetic body is something else. Well, it's not anything else. It's stuff. And it works off of chemicals and electricity. It's equipment. So what do we have? We go in a church and we have words like gods and devils and angels and spirits and souls. And you know what they are? They're words that people made up back in the Dark Ages to try to describe some kind of invisible people of good and evil who absolutely do not exist. Okay? There are no such thing. There are no demons. There are no devils. There are no angels. There are no spirits. There's none of that stuff. There's electricity. There's the subatomic. There's the quantum realm. There's photons and protons and electrons, and that's what's there. But see, people back, they didn't know. And so, whatever it was that was going on, they had to give names to, and it had to be either evil or good, depending on how it treated them. There is nothing on the face of the earth that does not operate according to a scientific principle, including you. See, back in the Middle Ages, you had these people and they controlled the government. So they didn't know how to explain the workings of the subatomic realm and the forces there. So we got gods and angels and demons and devils and all sorts of crazy things. But you know what? That's not too bad because, that was back then. But this is 2009 and we're still biting that stuff. We go in and bow our knee and we claim our belief in this Dark Ages lunacy. And we still do. Scientific principles operate you and every living thing on the face of this earth. It's electrochemical activity, and it includes you and me, and there is no hocus pocus, there's no angels, there's no spirits, gods, or demons that can do one thing to alter it. You can sing the song that Jesus loves the little children, but if there's a tornado coming down the street and there's a little cute little baby sitting in the middle of the street, that kid's going to get blown away, Jesus or no Jesus. It's always great, isn't it, how we say, well, I could have been hurt, but God was with me. But when they get hurt, they never say, well, I got hurt, that damn God, he didn't do a thing about it. Never blame the guy. But the same scientific rules that apply to elephants and trees and microbes apply to you. You're no different. And if you think you are, get them to take a drop of your blood, stick it under a microscope and see all those things running around. What the heck are they? Inside of you. You are an entity of meat and bone filled with chemicals and operated by electricity. If the electricity power that is powering you turns off, you will go like a balloon with the air going right up it and right down to the floor. Okay? That's the way you work. Everything about you is totally dependent on the scientific principles governing electrochemical activity. Everything about you. There is absolutely no way, now stay with me with this one, there is no way that anything can touch you or involve itself with you unless it is formed of electricity and electrical activity. It is impossible because that's the way you were made. You have a car out in the parking lot. That car is designed to operate on battery and fossil fuel. You are designed to operate on chemicals activated and nurtured by electricity. That's the way you work. I hear the preachers on TV, and you want God to come into your heart. You want Jesus to come in. Come on, Jesus, enter in. I can do that. You want the Holy Spirit to descend and come into your heart. And the lady wrote the book of the secrets. You want the law of attraction to work for you. But you know what? Everyone mentioned, including the law of attraction, must enter and operate within you via electricity because that is how you are made, and you do not and cannot respond any other way. If you don't know how to operate in this electrical realm that you're a part of, this stuff can't work. Oh, some people. I always get a kick out of the guy who is a Pat Roberts, used to come on TV. He's got millions of people watching him on TV. He says, oh, somebody's leg is being healed. I would say out of 3 million people, there's a good chance somebody's leg is being healed. But we buy it. We buy it all. Oh, Jared, I think it's mine. Look at it. I couldn't do this, man. Don't do that. Now, here's an idea. Here's what they do. See, if you're an electrical instrument, see the thing on the wall, the lights? That's an electrical instrument. You can lay hands on those lights and pray and speak in tongues. You may want to pour oil on the lights or flip holy water at them. Whatever you want to do. Lay hands on them. Get everybody to lay hands on them. Invoke the Holy Spirit of Jesus. Do whatever you want. But you know what? That light's not going to light until you follow the rules and throw the switch. Only then will it work. Unless you operate the equipment according to the scientific principle under which you were designed, they will not work. And do you know what? Nobody ever told you what scientific principles you were designed to operate under. You were told hocus pocus, that Jesus loves the little children, God is watching everything and watching over you and all of that stuff, and it's great. Don't worry about a thing. God is watching over you as you sit in the plane over Buffalo and it falls down on somebody's house. But you know what? You know I'm right. That's the disgusting part of it. And we go looking for all this crazy stuff. instead of understanding the reality of this. So keep that in mind. Your body is an electrical element, and only through electricity can it operate. So you have an opportunity, as has everybody else, but instead of understanding electromagnetic principles and quantum principles which govern the ways we operate, we have chosen to file into churches and listen to songs and sermons about all kinds of strange stories that have no basis in fact and no scientific principles to verify them. We sit there and listen to some guy tell us that a donkey turned his head and talked to a man and said, "Stop hitting me." We sit there and listen to the scientific fact this guy says that a snake slithered up to this lady and say, "Hey, you want an apple?" And they want to teach this stuff in school. This is creationism. Oh, yes, he didn't know any other way. He was leading all of his people, like, getting the hell out of town, and he came to the ocean, so he just opened it up. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Well, it was going to rain, and it was going to flood everything, so we had to save something, so we decided to take 2 of everything that existed and put them on a boat. 2 elephants, 2 ticks, 2 fleas, 2 everything that they were going to put them in. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. God's going to heal somebody. Jesus is going to touch somebody. The guardian angel is going to protect somebody. Well, if they are, they have to do it through electricity because that's the only way the human body and brain works, and that's the way it was created to work, through electricity. Wouldn't it seem to you that if the human brain body was designed to work via electricity, that the contact to be made with it through other life forms would be through electricity? Of course. Of course. If you're an electric instrument, which you are, you know what? If you don't believe I'm electric, that's what I want you to do. I want you to go down to the emergency room at your hospital and ask them to hook you up to the machine. You know when they had the machine in the emergency room and you watch up and it's going, everything is fine until this happens. Uh-oh! Somebody pulled the plug on Uncle Fred. No more electricity. Don't you understand it? It has nothing to do with Jesus or God's or Spirit. It has to do with electricity. It's the way you're made. But the amazing part is, once you understand it and can take part in it, then the world is yours. Nature is there for us to see. What happens to physical structures and equipment that run on chemicals and electricity? Well, human beings are no different than anything else in nature. They run on chemicals, they run on electricity, and they're subject to the same problems, the same beginnings, the same endings. Stuff wears out, breaks down, and it's the end of it. And you know, you'll not find one religious person who will argue about the electrochemical systems that run everything on planet Earth except when you bring up human beings. They think they're different. They're not different. You get the same diseases as dogs and cats. And your outcome is the same thing if you get the same medicine. But when it comes to religious people and human beings, all common sense and understanding of the operation of these created elements goes out the window, and right away they start expressing their beliefs in devils, demons, and spirits. Do you hear this buffoon, Miss California, who doesn't want gay marriage, and she got in trouble now because they caught her posing with topless. She's got all these topless pictures. And you know what she's saying now? I mean, she's saying what Flip Wilson said years ago. The devil made me do it. The devil tried to do it. That devil's a smarty pants. These people are nuts. She said, oh, well, yes, I had those pictures. It was a windy day. The wind blew my shirt off. Please. Oh, my God. But you see, nature is not religious. Nature is not sentimental. Nature is not emotional. It either is or it's not. If it gets hit, it falls. If it gets hit hard enough, it dies. End of story. Now, if you're not willing to accept these principles of creation, and if instead you want to cling to the teachings that come out of the Dark Ages, which have no understanding of the principles of creation, then you will wind up ending your days totally unaware of how you live, how you communicate, how you interact with all other beings of existence on this planet Earth and beyond this Earth. You will have no idea. No idea. You have an electric body, has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with spirituality, has nothing to do with New Age or Old Age. It is equipment, and it's electrical equipment. It operates under natural laws governing electrochemical equipment. Understand that and communicate with your own body and allow it to work for you, and it will take you into these places that these people file into to try to imagine they're going to in church. Now, inasmuch as your body operates under natural laws, if that's the case, why would I use the Bible? The Bible is used by me because it is not a religious book. It is not a spiritual book. It is a book of symbols under Greek mythology describing how the body, in concert with the electrical principle of photon, works. That's why I use it. The credibility of the Bible on these issues is found in the ionic bond of Adam and Eve. Taking a rib out of Adam to make Eve is taking an electron out of an atom to create a positive ion and putting it into another atom to create a negative ion. You've got an ionic bond, a positive, negative, the yin-yang and all of this kind of stuff. You have an ionic bond, all life begun by the splitting of the atom. That's what it's about. It's principle of electrical subatomic quantum creation. The speed of light is found in the Bible. The tribe of Judah is the tribe of light. How many people in the tribe? 186,400. That's the constant speed of light. Somebody's telling you something. See? You know what it's telling you? Somebody wrote that 4,000 years ago that knew all of that stuff. An intelligence far beyond where we are at even now, practically. The construction of the temple in the Bible is an exact duplicate of the construction of your head and its brain. Same thing. Inner holy place, outer holy place, winding stairs, right side, the whole thing. So how did this information find its way into the Bible? Okay, here's daily Bible study. And what does it say? There are differing opinions regarding the origin of the Septuagint, which was translated by Greek-speaking Jews in Alexandria, Egypt, sometime between 250 and 100 BC. According to one tradition, it was begun specifically at the request of Ptolemy Philadelphus, who wished to have a copy of the Bible for the great Alexandrian library. 70 or 72 skilled Jewish language experts were brought to Egypt from Jerusalem, where they translated the Pentateuch, Genesis and so forth, and then the rest of what is commonly known as the Old Testament from the original Hebrew. So here you have a situation where people who are subject to the Greek rules and the Greek regulations, the Greek way of speaking or writing in mythology, and they're writing the Bible. The Bible, becoming a Greek document, then took from the classic Greeks who spoke about atoms, electrons, light, Democritus, Zeno, Pythagoras, all of these guys. That's where it came from. That's why this stuff is in there. And you know the stupid part? How old are you? You've been reading the Bible all your life and nobody ever told you that. You probably think that the Bible was written by Peter, Paul, and Mary. Really? How could they expect it in the middle of the Arab-Palestinian desert countries? They got somebody by the name of Timothy running around writing. Timothy? No. We're talking about people whose influence was incorporated into the Bible by those who composed it in Alexandria, Egypt, under the Greek Ptolemies. That's how science became covered in mythological symbols in the Bible. So the Bible becomes a symbolic reference for the order of things in the universe and the part played by the subatomic and physical. So take the Bible and, throw away all the religious stuff because it has nothing to do whatsoever with religion. It is the story about the creation and interaction of life on the planet Earth with the subatomic realms we call photon. So now we have evidence that the Bible is put together by people who understand science and the nature of quantum. And this becomes evident as we have a description of God. And what does it say? God is not a man. Well, I thought he was an old man with a beard sitting up behind a desk looking down on anybody and spotting people as they drive down to Atlantic City and writing their names down here in the book. No, God is not a man. This then, it says, we declare unto you, God is light. Now, I want to give you some information here. If God is not a man and God is light, then there is only one thing that God can be. God is a photon. God is photon. Photon is intelligent light, a messenger which is not human, but has intelligence and has consciousness. So the statement that God is not a man, that God is light, being made by a culture thousands of years ago, gives credible witness to the proposal that the Bible itself states that God is a photon. And that's what I base this on. Guy wrote me, so you must be smoking something and say God is a photon. I didn't say God's a photon. The Bible said it. So with this information, that the Bible was written by people with scientific knowledge of the subatomic, as well as that the Bible identifies God as photon, we're in a position to sever any connection with religious teaching that excludes references to quantum, electron, photon, so forth, and replaces those realities with superstitious entities such as devils, gods, angels, and spirits. Folks, for God's sake, you're mature people. These things that they say do not exist. They're English words they made up. What they are referring to is existence in the quantum realm of photon and so forth. Now, but you got to be willing to take that step. Are you willing to take all of that religious stuff that you've accumulated in here, go into the bathroom, get down on your knees, and throw up, and get it out of your system? And once you get it out of your system, then you can start to be real. Then you can start to take part in this glorious creation. And a creation it is. So, we focus ourselves then on the true existence of life created, operated, controlled, and understood as electrical subatomic form. No more spirits now. No more souls. No more chakras. We focus on the true identity of atoms, electrons, photons, protons, and identify them as the characters referred to by the superstitions of religion, which has no concept of these entities. I'll tell you right now, you can walk in any church and they get filled up, and maybe while they're talking or they're singing, right when they get done, you just stand up and say you want to testify about photons. They have no clue what you're talking about. But you are not living in Disneyland. You are not part of a three-dimensional movie in Disney World. This is real stuff. In other words, we are now prepared, at least I am, to cut any attachment to things that do not exist and instead focused on our attention on things that do exist in which you can actively participate. If you're ready to do that. But you know, you'll be a handful of people that will. I use the word chakra together with spirits and souls as a reference to things that do not exist. I received an email which called my attention to this fact, and I want to share that with you now. This person had seen my report on photons on the internet, and this was his email. He says, "Hello, Bill. Can the photons and new energies affect the mind and the chakras? Can they cause depression and anxiety in certain people?" John. And my answer, John, what you have to understand is that the physical body is not a person but an electrical instrument. When a piece of electrical equipment begins to fail, anything can happen. As far as chakras are concerned, there are no such things. These are electrical resistors in the spine that check the flow of current to the brain. The Hindus use the chakra word as Christians use the spirit and soul word. So, you know, how can we ever expect to understand the true nature of life if we continue to use words made up that represent real scientific activity? No, there are no chakras, but there are resistors, because the electrical elements that course through your body have to be controlled and resisted so that they don't hit particular places where they're bound to go at too high of a voltage. Okay? But call them what they are. They're resistors. They're electrical resistors. And the stupid fools don't even know that that's why they chant Ohm, because Ohm's law is the law of electrical resistance. Anyhow. But you're never going to be able to take part in healing yourself. You're never going to be able to take part in communicating with this other realm. You're never going to be able to see and meet those folks who have gone on, who have passed on from this life. Because once you decide these are chakras, these are spirits, these are angels, then you're going to go on an adventure of trying to find out more about spirits and what chakras are like, and you totally ignore the reality of the quantum world of photon. That you do that, you're just out of it, and you'll never find anything, because you're looking for things that are not there. Okay, and then I said to John, I said, we are talking about electricity here. Nothing else. The human body can only react to electricity and chemicals which are stimulated by the electricity. The mind is the photon which is attached to the electrical body, and when wires get crossed or too much current goes in one direction or whatever, it is possible that anything can happen. What we call the mind is actually the photon person, you and me, who operate the body. When the brain has electrical problems, it presents a problem for you and me, the operator. It's like driving a car. When the fuel pump breaks down, you can't drive it no matter how much you pray on it, how much you believe on it, or how much you pour holy water on it. You ain't going anywhere. I know Joan and I were in a car not too long ago, and the fuel pump went. Joel said, "I am claiming in the name of Jesus." No, she didn't. But I mean, there are people that would claim it in the name of Jesus, and they're still going to get towed off the parkway no matter what they do.
You said the people that say Ohm are stupid.
No, well, I didn't mean to say people that say Ohm are stupid fools. I'm just saying they're stupid in the fact that they don't realize that when you say Ohm, it's the law of electrical resistance which nature has given them, and that's why they're saying it, because they're talking about resistors. So why not talk about the real things? Why not say, I am energizing the resistors within my body so that the electricity that elevates up and can hit the brain hits at the right voltage and everything works the way it's supposed to. Isn't that good? Rather than naming it things that aren't in existence so you never know what the heck is happening. This is how I concluded with John. I said, so when you ask the question as to whether photons or energies can have a negative effect, think to yourself what happens if you plug a low voltage appliance into a high voltage electrical outlet. It blows up. It's the same thing. If your body operates electrically, then the voltage has to be proper. And if it comes off too high in a particular thing, it's not going to function properly. And it could even burn out. You can find book after book after book about chakras, and I know I'm in trouble here because I got the new age people and I got the old age people. Nobody's going to like me. They don't exist. But you know what? Try to find something about electrical properties of the body and the brain. Will any of the people who study chakras study electrical properties of the voltage and the resistance of the body and the brain? No. Why? Because it's real. We don't want to get involved in that. Okay? So they cloud it with this thing, chakras. And you know what the interesting part of it? You can always say chakras, you can always say spirits and angels, and you write back on, oh, you got to have faith. But you don't have to have faith. This stuff exists. It's there. And it's very, very important for you and for your life. So we have to get away from all of these religious terms that were made up by people in the Dark Ages who have no idea about the subatomic and who made up fairy tales about invisible worlds and has us bowing down to this nonsense while having no clue about the real world that the one we call God created. Those words do only one thing. All of those words, they distract you from reality. They have you concentrating. They have you buying books about that stuff. They have you have discussions about that stuff. And all of this business. And what they do is they distract you from the reality of what really life is about and what you're about. It's astounding that our civilizations worldwide are built on the foundations of words that have convinced us of the existence of these beings, yet the words represent things that do not exist. Let me show you. Let's take a look at some words. Soul, spirit, holy, chakra, divine, angel, nirvana, devil, demon, blessed, heaven, hell, glory, sacred, hallowed, idols, sin, faith, prayer, saints, Sabbath, meditation. None of it exists. None of it exists. Yet every one of those things is represented by a subatomic quantum reality of electrical elements that place you in contact with the universal presence of higher light that you call God. Take that word chakra. We even color them. Now go look, you'll see. They have different colors. Because somebody said so. Not knowing what they meant, they have numbers. The fifth chakra, the third chakra. Oh, what happens when you get to the sixth chakra? We had all these diagrams. We're like little kids and, finding our way around the video game. But it distracts you from the electrical law of resistance, which is Ohm's law, and we find ourselves encountering photon and electron in a measured way to change the way our body equipment works, and we are total strangers to it. We're not paying any attention to the reality of these things because we're concentrating on chakras and colors and devils and demons. Oh, and you got to have faith. Who are you going to have faith in? Did you ever talk to Jesus? Did you ever talk to God? Did you ever talk to the devil, the angels? I never talked to any of these people. You know what? You talked to these preachers, and you have to have faith in them because you never met any of these people they represent. They tell us about somebody who told them. See? And then when it gets to that point, up pops the word faith, which means I believe what you said is true. Why? Because I'm a part of this group. The guy in the church across the street, he's wrong. John, I have faith in this guy. Where'd this guy learn it from? He had faith in some other guy. Oh, heaven and hell. How else are we going to socialize and criminalize our behavior? There has to be a reward for doing what we want you to do, and there has to be a punishment if you don't do what we want you to do. If we can scare you with demons and devils and entice you with angels and spirits, then you'll follow us, submit to us, and bring forth your money. I read an article the other day in which the writer said part of our problem is a feeling that the divine has abandoned us. What divine? Where is their divine in electrochemical properties? Where is their divine? This type of teaching originates with religion and says that there are persons who are of a higher order, and they're looking over us to guide us into doing the right things and protecting us from harm. And you know it's not true. So when something good happens, we say, God was watching over me, or praise Jesus. But we never say when something bad happens, boy, God really screwed up. Where the hell is Jesus when this is going on? This guy never shows up. Shows up not when I'm around. So we've been taken away from understanding how existence works, how human bodies operate, and then we go into the world of Alice in Wonderland where we've made up stupid explanations to try and explain things that nobody understands. They don't have a clue. Now you look at the last word. You're probably surprised that I put the word meditation in there since we emphasize it in our work here. The reason that the very word meditation is a bad word is because it keeps people from taking part in it. Meditation has become a picture of a Buddhist sitting cross-legged, or someone staring at a candle, or Hare Krishna, which is foreign to much of the world's population. It's become a practice that appears alien to Western Christianity. Even to the point where Christians say, well, we meditate on the Word, but not purging the mind, which they believe opens their minds to demons and devils. So the word meditation, in order to make people feel more comfortable, should be changed to brain resting. Mind resting. Or how about mind cleaning? Mind cleansing. They couldn't object to that. Would you like to join us for a mind cleansing? We have beautiful music. Oh, that sounds good. I need a brain rest. Good. I'm coming for rest my brain. Now, I'm not coming for meditation, right? See, do you see what I'm saying to you? The word takes on a characteristic that frightens people. Okay? They're all for resting their mind and all for resting their brain. But as soon as they hear meditation, they put up their shield to protect their Christianity from the onslaught of Eastern religions. That's the problem with it. And that's what I'm talking about here. When you have words like this, they distract you from the wonder that can be given to you when you understand their true value and you understand how your body works. So all of this stuff has prevented us from understanding the true nature of physical existence and what we have to do to protect ourselves and live in peace and harmony with both the seen and the unseen. You can never be in peace and harmony with nature when you are constantly taught that a large part of existence is a threat to you, which is what religion teaches and what these words tell us. You had better, be part of this or you're going to hell. When you think of meditation, you should be thinking of giving attention to a part of the body that must be rested and cleansed in order for it to function properly in both our health relationships and our relationships with our true invisible quantum nature. Let me just tell you this and we'll wrap. Once or twice a year, Joan and I take our animals up to a special veterinary hospital in South Salem, New York. It's operated by Dr. Marty Goldstein, who basically has a philosophy that there is a time and a place for drugs and medicine, but not consistently. And their philosophy is that first one must look for the cause of the problem and then treat it naturally. It's a wonderful place, it really is. Dr. Goldstein wrote a book called The Nature of Animal Healing. And here's a picture of the book, and there's a picture of Dr. Goldstein with one of his patients. Okay? when we go up there, we see another veterinarian by the name of Dr. Paul. He's from Romania. And you would be in shock because you would go into this room as a veterinarian, a dog and cat place, and you'll sit there in awe with your mouth open as he explains to you what he is looking for as the cause of the condition and the treatment that's necessary. And the first thing that Dr. Paul looks at is the intestinal area. What's going on here, he says. And he says, probably what we're seeing originated in the colon area where the poisons and the disease forces are created that eventually affect the other areas of the body. The reason that I am picking up on this is because you'll see how Dr. Paul immediately tells us not only do we accumulate the poisons in the intestines and the liver, but it's the same basis when we don't rest this that we accumulate the poisons here. The last time we were there, he went on to explain something about your liver. And I sat there thinking to myself, this guy is brilliant. And he should be speaking to people as well as animal conditions. Dr. Paul explained that the liver has a job to do. It has to break down food into life-sustaining chemicals, but once that's completed, it has to go to work to regenerate itself and cleanse itself. But he says where the problem happens, and it happens to people too, is when we don't allow the necessary 8 hours between eating periods, and thus the liver never get a chance to do what it was made to do and what it has to do to repair itself and clean itself up. So he says what happens, your liver is busy breaking down food. That's taken care of. It says, okay, now I'm going to clean up the place. Like, let's sweep it up, clean it up, and I'm going to repair some of the problems that we ran into. But as soon as it starts cleaning up, here you come again with another bowl of spaghetti. And what does he say? Your liver never gets a chance to put itself back in a healthy condition because as soon as you start dumping more food in it, it's got to stop what it's doing and go and break down that food instead of concentrating on cleaning up and repairing the mess. So the intestinal area then is never properly repaired or cleaned, and the disease springs from there. You know what he said? He said, never eat anything unless you're hungry. He said, now most people in our culture say, well, it's 6 o'clock, time for dinner. You just got done having a big piece of cake and a bottle of Coke, but it's time for dinner. It's that time again. He said, only when you get hungry is your liver saying, okay, I'm done cleaning up. I got all the repairs done. The place is cleaned. You can go ahead. That's when you're hungry. But when you eat and you're not hungry, your liver is down there cleaning up and repairing everything, and you're dumping the food down there, and it's got to stop doing what it was doing, and so that liver never gets itself in the way that it should be. And I just sit there and say, God, no wonder I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and have a big piece of cake and everything gets screwed up. Jeez. So in treating animals, Dr. Paul says they're not giving enough time for the liver to complete its digestive work and do the repair and clean up because the animal is eating too often and the disease spreads from there. And he says it's the same with you and me, and it is. Isn't that interesting? But here's a picture of their thing from the website, and I'm not advertising from, but I just wanted to show you. Smith Ridge Veterinary Center. But I love this line that's on their website. Disease is an absence of health, and health is an absence of disease, but health was here first. So it's really good. But now let's think of something for a minute. Come back to me for a minute here. Devils, demons, saints, spirits, angels mean nothing. The human body, a piece of electrical equipment, operated maintain, and service like any other. And by consuming ourselves with the foolishness of religion, we miss the reality of life, of living, and of our interaction with nature and our photon heritage. You see what he said? Look at your brain. And that's why meditation is so important. And I learned so much from Dr. Paul about meditation. Every organ in our body has to have time to rest, to clean out all of the junk, and to repair itself. Every thought is an electrical impulse. And you know as well as I do, we never stop dumping in this thing. Constantly. Constantly. So much so that when people come into meditation, they write me, I can't turn it off. I can't turn it off. Because we've never tried. So you can forget about everything of trying to get chakras and trying to get kundalinis and just go and try and just relax and listen to the music and let this thing rest and let it repair itself and flush the toilet up here and let it all go away and let yourself then start to be a new person using that right side, the right hemisphere side, and reconnect yourself to the quantum world of photon of light of what you call God. Just like your liver needs time to rest and repair, and your brain needs time to rest and repair. And we never think of that, do we? See, if people would understand that, then they would come and they would sit in the quiet and listen and allow themselves to be purged of that stuff. But they hear the word meditation and they're connected to Hare Krishna or some guys over in the Arab deserts and they're afraid of it. I want to go into death now and what it is, how it operates. We're going to look a little bit at Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh and death and what it is and how it operates and affects you. And then we're going to go into the room with William Crooks and Katie King and look at the two photons standing there in front of us, one alive photon, one dead photon, both dressed and looking very well. And we're going to see a man take the dead lady's pulse. And we're going to see how we visualize that, how a camera visualizes it. And we're going to start to understand all of these things so that when the photon of somebody you love very dearly who has physically left is back with you, you'll understand how it all works. And that's where we're going from here. We'll see you. Thank you very much for being with us, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. The Hidden Meanings Conference Center at the Village Green Shopping Center, Route 9, Forked River. And our email, bdona91078@gmail.com. And we're here Friday at 7 p.m. And we have meditation with music, Tuesday at 7, Sunday at 7, and the last Friday of the month at 7.
Our Hidden Meanings webpage is at www.hiddenmeanings.com. And if you would like to make a donation to help support the work, you can send it to Hidden Meanings, P.O. Box 569, Forked River, New Jersey, 08731. Again, we just want to thank you for all of your support and for being there with us.